Hello, everybody. My name is Lloyd Waite. I was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, went through all the public schools. I graduated from Classical High School in 1944. At that time, I was 16 years old. Sometimes I got lost going home, but I did graduate at 16. I went to work up to Westover Field, working on airplanes that were crippled and coming back from Europe. Let's see, from there, I have to put my thoughts together here. I worked there until I got my notice of greetings from the president, which meant that I was being drafted. That would be in 1946 when I was 18, excuse me. And from there, I was sent to boot camp down to Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, where I took my boot camp. And from there, I was sent to San Francisco, to Treasure Island, where I took up electronics to get my rate. I was there for over a year. I had some difficulty getting through school. I'll tell you a little story on the side here. I had a good friend that was from New Bedford. We were both about the same age. And I said to him, I'm having a hard time, Carl, getting through this school. It's really difficult. And the rules are that if you have to take the same week over twice and you don't pass, then you go to C. And that didn't sound too good to me. And Carl said, maybe I can fix things for you. So I said, how are you going to do that? He says, you're wearing glasses? I said, yes. He said, give them to me. So I took my glasses off and I gave them to him. And you wouldn't believe it, he put them on the floor and stepped on them. I said, oh my goodness gracious. So he said, there you are. He says, now you got 2 weeks that you can get yourself together because they got to go back to Southbridge, the American Optical, they haven't remade again. So wouldn't you know, I was able to complete the class and came out a rated petty officer. From there, I was sent to Terminal Island, which is down in Long Beach, to a transmitter station. And I was on special assignment with Admiral Nimitz to Point Mugu, California, as a rocket test center. And that was very interesting and exciting. At that time, rockets weren't perfected, and they'd go straight up and come straight back down on everybody. So, excuse me, I have a little itchy nose here. And I was discharged from Long Beach and returned back to Springfield, Mass. At that time, I have to stop and think for a minute. I decided I wanted to continue my education and think about going to college because now it was 1968, and I qualified for the GI Bill, and I belonged to the 5220 Club, which meant I had $20 a week for 52 weeks, and at that time that was quite a bit of money. So from there, I had to get some schooling upgraded, so I graduated from Suffield Academy. In 1951, when I left the Navy originally, I joined the inactive reserves. And so in 1951, I got this notice in the mail that I had to re-enlist again. So I was sent down to the Fargo building. My clothes didn't fit anymore, and so forth and so on. And from there, I was reassigned to Norfolk, Virginia, and I was in the amphibious group, and I was stationed aboard ship, LSMR 517. I was an electronics officer, and it was an experience in itself. When I was in Little Creek, Virginia, I was sent down to the Marine Station down in South Carolina, and I learned how to shoot the M1 rifle, And I said to, when I got back, I said, I'm in the Navy. I said, I'm not in the Army. And they said, well, he said, when you get on this LSM, which is a landing craft, says when it goes ashore and stops on the beach, they said, where do you think you're going to go? And I said, oh, I thought we were just going to back out again and get underway. And they said, oh, no, you're going to get an M1, and now you're in the Army. So needless to say, I learned how to shoot that M1 pretty accurately. And I was aboard ship at sea, which is exciting in itself. We headed south as a flotilla, and we were headed for Korea to relieve the Pacific Group, and we got as far as the Panama Canal, and the Pacific Group said that it could handle things themselves, so I was relieved that we turned around and came back. On the way down, we had darkened ship in the middle of the night, and this is just a little off story here I'm going to give you. I was down in my bunk. It was 2:30 in the morning. Everything was pitch black. The officer of the deck was up on the bridge, and he called me out of my bunk saying that there was something wrong with the radar. And what he had up on the bridge is what we call as a radar repeater. It's round, and the ship itself is in the very middle, and from there it scans out and picks up all the other ships that are out there that you can't see. So he said, I've lost all the ship that's in front of me. And I looked at him and I said, didn't you get radar training at school? He said, yes. I said, didn't they tell you about sea return? Sea return. He says, what's that? I says, well, from where the radar transmitter is, there is sea return, and that's all this white hashy stuff that you see around the circle. I said, you can't see the ship in front of you because you're so close to them that you're going to ram the back of them. So I said, I suggest right now that you back down and avoid a real serious collision here. And when he did that, of course, you could see the ship in front of us slowly move out from the middle of that circle, and I went back to my bunk and got a good night's sleep. So that's pretty much my experience. When I came back, I was around looking for a job. My brother was in the Naval Reserve. My younger brother, my older brother, who was on the battleship New Jersey, had since been discharged. And I said I was looking for a job, and he said, well, he says there's a full captain, Mr. Garvey, up at trade school on State Street. And I said, can you introduce me to him? And he said, certainly, we'll do that. And I had a nice talk with the captain. And I said I was looking for a job, and I told him my experience and my background. And so he said, well, I'll write you a letter of recommendation to the IBM Corporation. And I said, who were they? I said, I never even heard of these people. So I went down to the IBM office, and I introduced myself in my letter of introduction, and I had to take a test, and unfortunately I didn't pass it. But the office manager was a nice guy, and he said, let's sit down and go through the test, and we'll see which ones that you had trouble with. And his name was Mr. Mackey, real nice fellow. And he said, come back in 8 to 10 days and you can take the test again. So I was delighted. So I said to myself, geez, I wonder if I'm going to get something entirely different. But as luck would have it, what I'm saying now, life is luck and opportunity, and you've got to take advantage of both of them. Don't turn your back. You've got to know the right people. You've got to listen to them and take their advice. So I took the test again, and lo and behold, it was the same test that I took 8 days previous. So needless to say, I got a good grade on that one. And I went to work with IBM for 36 years. Never been out of work, never missed a job. Uh, I was on 24-hour call. I had 14 suggestion awards on special assignment to Boston, New York, Worcester, and Hartford. And that about covers my background. I can't think of anything else at the time. No. Oh, I'm now retired after 36 years with IBM and enjoying life and having a good pension. So I feel sorry for the young fellows that are coming along, and I wish them well. I know they're going to be well trained, but the worry is always there. I don't care whether it's peacetime or what branch of the service you're in, but it is an obligation to your country, and do your very best. Thank you.